What if I told you that eating less might be the very reason you're not losing weight? It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? For years we've been told a simple story about fitness and fat loss. The message was clear: to get leaner, you must eat less and move more. Cut your calories, skip a few meals, and watch the pounds melt away. This idea is everywhere, from magazines to popular diet plans. It has become a fundamental rule in the minds of so many people who are working hard to achieve their fitness goals. But this rule is not the whole truth, and following it blindly can lead you straight into a wall. The logic seems so straightforward. If you create a calorie deficit, your body will have to burn its stored fat for energy, and for a little while this actually works. You might see the number on the scale drop quickly in the first week or two, which feels fantastic. It feels like you've finally cracked the code. This initial success reinforces the belief that extreme calorie cutting is the only way forward. You double down, convinced that if a little less food brought some results, then even less food will bring even better results. This is the trap that so many of us fall into, pushing our bodies harder while giving them less of the fuel they desperately need. But then, something frustrating begins to happen. The progress that was once so steady comes to a grinding halt. Despite eating even less and training just as hard, the scale refuses to budge. You feel more tired, your workouts become a struggle, and your motivation starts to fade. You're doing everything you thought you were supposed to do, yet your body seems to be fighting back against you. This is not a sign of failure on your part. It is a sign that your body has started to adapt to what it perceives as a period of starvation. And it's a clear signal that the simple eat less approach has stopped working for you. This is where the myth of less is more begins to crumble, revealing a much more complex and fascinating truth about how our bodies work. The problem isn't your effort or your dedication, it's the strategy itself. Your body is an incredibly intelligent system designed for survival, not just for looking good in a swimsuit. When it senses a severe and prolonged lack of energy, it will do everything in its power to conserve what it has. This essay will explore what really happens when you don't eat enough, pulling back the curtain on why undereating is one of the biggest saboteurs of your fitness journey, and how you can start working with your body, not against it. To truly understand why undereating backfires, we need to shift our perspective. Let's stop thinking of our bodies as simple calculators and start seeing them as sophisticated survival machines. Your body's primary goal is to keep you alive and functioning. It doesn't know that you're intentionally trying to get a six-pack for summer. All it knows is that the amount of fuel it's receiving has dropped dramatically. In its ancient wisdom, it interprets this as a threat, a famine. And when faced with a famine, the body's prime directive is not to burn fat, but to conserve energy at all costs to ensure survival. This survival response is a powerful built-in mechanism that triggers a cascade of changes throughout your entire system. It's not just about feeling a bit hungry. Your metabolism, the engine that burns calories, begins to slow down. Your body becomes incredibly efficient, learning to run on fewer calories than before. This is what we often call metabolic adaptation. It's your body's way of protecting itself, but for someone trying to lose fat, it feels like a cruel joke. You are eating next to nothing, yet your body is holding on to every last bit of energy, making further fat loss incredibly difficult. It doesn't stop there. Your body also starts making decisions about what is essential and what is not. Building and maintaining metabolically active muscle tissue requires a lot of energy. When energy is scarce, your body sees that muscle as a luxury it can no longer afford. Worse, it sees it as a potential source of fuel. So, it begins to break down your hard-earned muscle for energy, a process known as catabolism. This is a double blow to your fitness goals because less muscle means a slower metabolism, which in turn makes it even harder to lose fat in the future. You end up losing the very tissue that helps you look toned and strong. This essay will guide you through this entire process, step by step. We will explore exactly why people fall into the trap of undereating in the first place, and what happens to your fat loss efforts when your body hits the brakes. We will delve into the devastating impact on your muscle mass, your performance in the gym, and the hormonal chaos that can unfold inside you. Most importantly, we will show you how to recognize the warning signs and provide a clear, sustainable path forward. It's time to learn the real story of your body and start fueling it for success, not sabotaging it with starvation. One of the biggest reasons people undereat is the overwhelming sea of misinformation pushed by modern diet culture. We are constantly bombarded with messages that glorify extreme restriction and rapid, dramatic transformations. Turn on the television or scroll through social media and you will find countless quick-fix diets promising to help you lose 10 pounds in 10 days. These plans often rely on dangerously low-calorie limits, demonize entire food groups like carbohydrates or fats, and promote an all-or-nothing mindset. The promises are so enticing that they overshadow the fundamental principles of sustainable nutrition, leading well-intentioned individuals down a path of chronic underfueling without them even realizing the long-term damage they are causing. This culture has created a distorted perception of what a healthy portion size actually looks like. Influencers post pictures of their tiny, aesthetically pleasing meals, often consisting of a small piece of protein and a handful of greens, labeling it as the ideal way to eat for fat loss. What they often fail to mention is their own unique metabolic needs, their intense training schedules, or the fact that this single meal is not representative of their entire day's intake. Followers see these images and assume this is the gold standard for a fitness-focused diet. They start to emulate these small portions, believing they are being disciplined and healthy, when in reality they are setting themselves up for a significant energy deficit that their bodies simply cannot sustain. Furthermore, the fitness industry itself can be a source of confusing and contradictory advice. One expert might advocate for intermittent fasting, which involves skipping meals, while another promotes eating 6 small meals a day. Without a solid understanding of nutritional science, it is easy to get lost and cherry-pick the most restrictive advice from various sources. Someone might combine the idea of fasting with the concept of eating clean, resulting in a very short eating window filled with low-calorie, low-density foods. This combination can easily lead to an intake that is far below what their body requires to function optimally, let alone build muscle and recover from workouts. The intention is to be healthy, but the execution, guided by misinformation, becomes self-sabotage. The very language used in diet culture contributes to this problem. Words like clean, guilt-free, and detox attach a moral value to food, creating a narrative where calories are the enemy and restriction is a virtue. This black and white thinking encourages people to drastically cut their intake as a form of punishment for eating something bad, or as a way to speed up results. It fosters a belief that hunger is something to be ignored and that feeling full is a sign of failure. This constant stream of misleading information makes it incredibly difficult for the average person to develop a healthy, balanced relationship with food, pushing them toward undereating as the default strategy for achieving their fitness goals. Beyond the external influences of diet culture, our own psychology plays a massive role in why we undereat. For many, the journey to a healthier lifestyle is paved with a deep-seated fear of gaining weight. This fear, often called calorie phobia, can be paralyzing. It stems from the belief that any extra food, especially from sources deemed unhealthy, will instantly turn into body fat. This anxiety causes people to become hyper-vigilant about their food choices, meticulously tracking every single morsel and consistently aiming for the lowest possible calorie number they can tolerate. They may have had success with a low-calorie diet in the past, and that initial weight loss reinforces the fear that eating more will undo all their hard work and progress. This fear is often intertwined with the trap of perfectionism. When someone decides to get fit, they often want to do it perfectly from day one. This means following a diet plan to the letter, never deviating, and treating any small indulgence as a complete failure. If a plan suggests a 1,500-calorie diet, a perfectionist might aim for 1,400 just to be extra good. This desire to be the perfect dieter leads to an ever-present pressure to be more restrictive and more disciplined. The problem is that the human body does not operate on a system of perfection. It operates on a system of needs. Constantly striving for an unrealistic standard of dietary perfection almost always leads to undereating and eventual burnout. Another psychological factor is the misinterpretation of the body's signals, especially during the initial phases of a fitness journey. When you start exercising more and eating healthier, you might not feel ravenously hungry right away. Stress, intense workouts, and a focus on high-fiber foods can sometimes suppress appetite temporarily. A person might take this lack of roaring hunger as a sign that their body doesn't need much food, reinforcing their decision to keep their intake low. They fail to recognize that their energy needs have actually increased due to their new training regimen. They are running on fumes without even realizing it, mistaking a suppressed appetite for a sign that they are doing everything right. Finally, the sense of control that comes with dietary restriction can be psychologically addictive. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, controlling what and how much you eat can provide a powerful feeling of accomplishment and self-mastery. Each skipped meal or day of low-calorie eating can feel like a small victory. This feeling can be so rewarding that it overrides the body's natural hunger cues and physical signs of distress. The person becomes more focused on adhering to their strict rules than on listening to their body's needs. This psychological reward loop is a dangerous trap that keeps people stuck in a cycle of undereating, prioritizing the feeling of control over their actual health and fitness outcomes. Sometimes undereating is not a conscious choice driven by diet culture or fear, but rather an unintentional consequence of a busy modern lifestyle. A lot of us are juggling demanding jobs, family responsibilities, and social commitments, which, honestly, leaves very little time and mental energy to focus on nutrition. In the rush of a hectic day, meals just kind of become an afterthought. Breakfast might be a quick coffee on the way to work, lunch might get skipped entirely because of back-to-back meetings, and by the time dinner rolls around, you're just too exhausted to cook a well-balanced meal. This pattern of inconsistent and inadequate eating can easily result in a significant calorie deficit over time, even if you never intended to restrict your food intake. Poor planning is a major accomplice to the busy lifestyle. The old adage, fail to plan, and you plan to fail, is especially true when it comes to nutrition. Without taking the time to plan meals, grocery shop, and prepare food in advance, it's incredibly tough to meet your body's energy requirements consistently. When hunger finally hits, and there's no healthy option available, it's so easy to just grab a convenient but nutrient-poor snack, or simply power through the hunger until the next meal. This reactive approach to eating, dictated by convenience and circumstance rather than by nutritional needs, almost guarantees that you'll fall short of the calories and macronutrients required to support your fitness goals. Furthermore, there's a common misunderstanding of what actually makes a meal healthy. Many people switch from processed foods to whole foods like lean proteins, vegetables, and fruits, which is fantastic, but they often don't adjust the volume of their food to account for the lower calorie density. A big, visually satisfying salad packed with leafy greens, cucumbers, and tomatoes might only contain a couple hundred calories. You might feel physically full from the volume and fiber, but actually be in a massive energy deficit. It's easy to believe you're eating plenty because your plate is full, but in reality, you're not consuming enough energy to fuel your body's basic functions and recover from exercise. Lastly, economic factors and accessibility can play a significant role. For some, high-quality, nutrient-dense foods might just be less affordable or harder to access than cheaper, processed alternatives. Someone trying to eat healthy on a tight budget might gravitate toward low-cost vegetables and very lean protein sources, inadvertently creating a low-calorie, low-fat diet. They may not have the financial means to incorporate more energy-dense healthy foods like nuts, seeds, avocados, or olive oil regularly. This isn't a failure of willpower or knowledge, it's a practical barrier that makes it challenging to consume enough calories to thrive, turning an effort to eat healthily into an unintentional state of undernutrition. When you first drastically cut your calories, it honestly feels like you've discovered the ultimate secret to fat loss. In this initial stage, which I like to call the honeymoon phase, the results can be super quick and incredibly motivating. The number on the scale drops day after day, and your clothes start to feel a little looser. This early success is mostly due to a loss of water weight and glycogen, which are the carbohydrates stored in your muscles and liver. For every gram of glycogen your body stores, it also holds onto about 3 to 4 grams of water. So when you deplete those glycogen stores by eating very few carbs and calories, you flush out a significant amount of water, leading to a rapid, noticeable drop in weight. This immediate feedback is powerful and validating. It really reinforces the belief that your extreme approach is working perfectly. You feel a sense of control and accomplishment, thinking, "This is it, I finally cracked the code." That positive reinforcement just makes you want to double down on your efforts. If eating this little made you lose 5 pounds in a week, you might think, then I should keep doing it to lose even more. This initial rush of success creates a powerful psychological hook, making it super tough to see the bigger picture or question whether this strategy is actually sustainable in the long run. You're basically being rewarded for a behavior that is about to backfire, big time. During this honeymoon period, your body is still running on its reserves. It hasn't fully registered the severity of the energy shortage yet. Your metabolism is still firing at a relatively normal rate, and your hormonal systems haven't sounded the major alarm bells. You are, for a short time, achieving a true calorie deficit, and some of the weight you're losing is indeed body fat. This combo of water loss and initial fat burn is what makes crash diets so appealing, and why so many people fall for them over and over again. The immediate gratification just masks the underlying biological storm that's slowly brewing beneath the surface, ready to erupt. But this phase is deceptive and honestly, tragically short-lived. It gives you a false sense of hope, leading you to believe that fat loss is a simple, linear process of continuous restriction. You become attached to the strategy because it gave you that first taste of victory. However, your body is an incredibly adaptive machine designed for survival. It won't allow this state of rapid energy depletion to continue for long without taking drastic measures to protect itself. The honeymoon phase inevitably comes to an end, and when it does, you're left confused, frustrated, and stuck on a plateau that feels impossible to break through. After the initial honeymoon phase wears off, your body's survival instincts kick in with full force. It recognizes that the calorie famine isn't just a temporary event, but a prolonged threat. In response, it initiates a powerful protective measure known as metabolic adaptation, or what a lot of people call starvation mode. Your body doesn't know you're just trying to look good for a holiday. It thinks you're stranded without food and needs to conserve energy to survive. To do this, it systematically slows down your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, which is the number of calories you burn each day just by being alive, powering your brain, heart, lungs, and other vital organs. It gets ruthlessly efficient at its job. This metabolic slowdown is not a myth. It's a well-documented physiological response. Your body achieves this by reducing the energy it spends on non-essential processes. Your body temperature might drop a bit, so you start feeling constantly cold, especially in your hands and feet. The energy used for digestion slows down. Even those subconscious, fidgety movements you make throughout the day, what's called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT, can decrease dramatically. Your body is basically turning down its internal thermostat and powering down all non-critical systems to save every precious calorie it can. You're now burning significantly fewer calories than you were at the start of your diet, even if you weigh less. This is the point where that super frustrating plateau begins. You're still eating very little, maybe even less than before, but the scale has just stopped moving. The calorie deficit you thought you had created has vanished. Your lowered metabolism now matches your low-calorie intake, creating a state of equilibrium where fat loss grinds to a halt. This is incredibly demoralizing. You're putting in all the effort, enduring the hunger, making all the sacrifices, and yet you're getting no results in return. The logical but totally incorrect conclusion a lot of people draw is that they must be doing something wrong, or that they need to restrict their calories even further. This is the core of the trap. Pushing harder by eating even less only makes the problem worse. Your body will just adapt again, slowing your metabolism down even more to match the new, lower intake. You get locked into a destructive cycle of eating less and less, only to find your metabolism getting slower and slower. You've effectively taught your body how to survive on a minimal amount of fuel. While that's honestly a remarkable testament to the body's resilience, it's the exact opposite of what you want when your goal is to create a healthy, energetic, fat-burning machine. You are no longer in control. Your body's survival mechanisms have taken the wheel. Alright, so as your metabolism slows down, your body actually unleashes another powerful weapon to fight back against what it thinks is starvation-overwhelming hunger. This isn't just a simple case of feeling a bit peckish, it's a hormonally driven, all-consuming urge to eat. Two key hormones that regulate appetite, leptin and ghrelin, go completely haywire. Leptin, often called the satiety hormone, is produced by your fat cells. Its job is to signal to your brain that you are full and have enough energy stored. But when you undereat and lose body fat, your leptin levels just plummet. Your brain no longer receives the signal that you are full, leading to this constant gnawing feeling of hunger that's honestly impossible to ignore. At the same time, the hormone ghrelin, known as the hunger hormone, totally skyrockets. Ghrelin is primarily produced in your stomach, and its main role is to send signals to your brain that it's time to eat. When you are chronically undereating, your body ramps up ghrelin production in a desperate attempt to get you to find food. So now you have the perfect storm: low levels of the hormone that tells you you're full and high levels of the hormone that tells you you're starving. This hormonal imbalance makes it a daily battle of willpower against your own biology, a battle that, honestly, you're almost destined to lose eventually. This intense, hormonally driven hunger also changes the type of food you crave. Your body isn't just asking for a sensible meal of chicken and broccoli, it's screaming for the most energy-dense food it can think of. Typically foods high in sugar, fat, and salt. This is a primitive survival mechanism designed to make you seek out the most calorie-rich options available to quickly replenish your depleted energy stores. It's the reason why, after weeks of strict dieting, you suddenly find yourself unable to stop thinking about pizza, ice cream, or donuts. These intense cravings are not a sign of a weak will, they're a direct physiological consequence of severe energy restriction. Ultimately, this immense pressure on your willpower often leads to binge eating. After days or weeks of fighting against your body's powerful signals, you finally give in. And when you do, it's often not a controlled indulgence, but an all-out binge where you consume thousands of calories in a single sitting. This is often followed by intense feelings of guilt and shame, which then reinforces the desire to restrict even more harshly the next day, perpetuating the vicious cycle. This is just not a sustainable way to live or to achieve fat loss. Your body's hormonal response to undereating is designed to make you seek food, and honestly, it will almost always win in the end. When your body is under the chronic stress of undereating, it floods your system with the primary stress hormone, cortisol. While cortisol is necessary for certain bodily functions, consistently high levels are disastrous for fat loss. Elevated cortisol sends a powerful signal to your body to conserve energy, and one of its preferred ways to do this is by promoting the storage of visceral fat, the dangerous type of fat that surrounds your organs, particularly in the abdominal area. So while you are desperately trying to lose fat by not eating, your own stress hormones are actively working to store it. You are in effect flipping a switch from a fat-burning state to a fat-storing state. This increase in cortisol also has a devastating effect on your hard-earned muscle mass. As we've discussed, muscle is metabolically expensive tissue. When your body is in a state of panic and needs energy fast, it sees your muscles as a readily available source of fuel. High cortisol levels accelerate the process of catabolism, where the body breaks down muscle protein into amino acids, which can then be converted into glucose for energy. You are literally sacrificing the very tissue that helps you burn calories and gives your body its shape and strength. This is a tragic irony. In your quest to lose fat, you end up losing the engine that helps you burn it. This loss of muscle has profound long-term consequences for your metabolism. The more muscle you lose, the slower your metabolic rate becomes. This means that to maintain your weight, you will have to eat even less food in the future. It creates a scenario where you become skinny fat, weighing less on the scale but having a higher body fat percentage and a softer, less toned physique. Rebuilding that lost muscle is a slow and difficult process requiring a calorie surplus and dedicated strength training. Undereating digs you into a deep metabolic hole that becomes increasingly difficult to climb out of, making future fat loss attempts even harder. In essence, the combination of a slowed metabolism, hormonal hunger, elevated cortisol, and muscle breakdown creates the ultimate fat loss trap. Your body becomes incredibly efficient at holding on to the fat it has, and even storing new fat, all while shedding the muscle that you need to stay lean and healthy. The very strategy you implemented to get rid of fat has made your body a master of preserving it. This is the critical turning point where you must realize that the path of extreme restriction is not just ineffective, it is actively working against you, damaging your metabolism, and sabotaging your long-term goals. When your body is deprived of adequate calories, it enters a state of crisis management, and one of the first things it sacrifices is your precious muscle tissue. Building and maintaining muscle is an energy-intensive process that your body considers a luxury it can no longer afford during a perceived famine. To your survival-focused system, muscle is not just metabolically expensive, it is also a convenient, built-in reservoir of energy. When there isn't enough fuel coming in from food, your body turns inward and begins to break down muscle protein into amino acids through a process called gluconeogenesis. These amino acids are then transported to the liver and converted into glucose to fuel your brain and other essential organs. You are literally burning your muscle to stay alive. This process, known as catabolism, is the polar opposite of what you want to achieve with your fitness efforts. You go to the gym to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, the building of new muscle. However, when you are chronically under-eating, the rate of muscle protein breakdown skyrockets and far outweighs any synthesis you might be stimulating through your workouts. You are essentially taking one step forward in the gym and 2 steps back in the kitchen. No matter how hard you train, you simply cannot build or even maintain muscle in a severe energy deficit because the biological signals for breakdown are far stronger than the signals for growth. Your body is actively dismantling the very foundation of your strength. This muscle loss isn't just a concern for bodybuilders or those wanting to look muscular. Lean muscle mass is a critical component of a healthy, functional body and a robust metabolism. It supports your joints, improves your posture, and is the primary driver of your resting metabolic rate. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn throughout the day, even when you're not exercising. By allowing your body to cannibalize its own muscle, you are not only getting weaker, but you are also systematically slowing down your body's calorie-burning engine. This makes it progressively harder to lose fat and easier to gain it back once you stop dieting. It's a cruel irony of extreme dieting. People restrict calories with the goal of revealing a lean, toned physique, but the very process of severe restriction destroys the muscle that creates that toned appearance. Instead of looking defined and strong, you risk ending up with a physique that is smaller but softer, often referred to as skinny fat. You might weigh less on the scale, but your body composition has worsened, with a higher percentage of body fat relative to your lean mass. You have sacrificed your strength and metabolic health for a number on the scale, a trade-off that will ultimately undermine your long-term fitness goals and overall well-being. One of the most immediate and honestly demoralizing consequences of undereating is a noticeable decline in your performance at the gym. Suddenly, weights that you used to lift with confidence feel impossibly heavy. Your ability to push through those last few challenging repetitions just vanishes, and you find yourself decreasing the weight on the bar just to get through your workout. This isn't a figment of your imagination or a sign that you're not trying hard enough. It's a direct result of your body being severely underfueled. Your muscles rely on stored glycogen for the explosive, high-intensity energy required for strength training. When you're undereating, especially on carbohydrates, these glycogen stores are chronically depleted, leaving your muscles with, well, no high-octane fuel to perform. This lack of available energy translates directly into a loss of strength and power. Your central nervous system, which is responsible for recruiting muscle fibers to produce force, also becomes fatigued and less efficient when it's underfueled. The communication between your brain and your muscles weakens, meaning you simply cannot generate the same amount of force as you could when you were properly nourished. Workouts that once left you feeling empowered and strong now leave you feeling drained and defeated. This consistent negative feedback can crush your motivation and make you dread going to the gym, further derailing your progress and consistency. The impact extends beyond just your 1-rep max. Your muscular endurance also takes a significant hit. You'll find yourself needing longer rest periods between sets, and may not be able to complete the same number of sets and reps you once did. A workout that you used to finish in 60 minutes might now take 90 minutes, or you might have to cut it short altogether due to sheer exhaustion. This reduction in training volume is a major problem because volume, the total amount of weight lifted, is a key driver of muscle growth and maintenance. By undereating, you are robbing yourself of the ability to train with the intensity and volume needed to signal to your body that it needs to keep its muscle. This strength drain creates a negative feedback loop that accelerates muscle loss. Progressive overload, the principle of continually challenging your muscles with more weight, reps, or sets, is the cornerstone of building and maintaining strength. However, you cannot achieve progressive overload when you are getting progressively weaker. Instead of adding a little more weight to the bar each week, you might find yourself taking it off. Your body, sensing that it is no longer being challenged in the same way, receives the signal that its current level of muscle mass is unnecessary. This, combined with the catabolic environment created by the calorie deficit, sends a loud and clear message to your body: it's time to shed that metabolically costly muscle tissue. A successful fitness journey is not just about the work you put in at the gym. It's equally about how well your body recovers between those sessions. Exercise is essentially a form of stress that creates microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. The magic happens during recovery, when your body repairs these tears, making the muscle fibers slightly thicker and stronger than before. This entire repair and rebuilding process is incredibly demanding from an energy and nutrient standpoint. It requires a steady supply of calories, protein to provide the necessary amino acids, and carbohydrates to replenish glycogen stores. When you are undereating, you are denying your body the fundamental building blocks it needs to heal itself properly. As a result, your recovery time slows to a crawl. Instead of feeling refreshed and ready for your next workout after a day or two of rest, you might find yourself feeling sore and beaten down for several days on end. This condition, often referred to as delayed onset muscle soreness or DOMS, becomes more severe and prolonged when you're underfueled. You're stuck in a perpetual state of disrepair, where you're breaking down muscle tissue in the gym, but never giving your body the resources to fully build it back up. Training again while you're still sore and poorly recovered not only feels terrible, but also significantly increases your risk of injury, as your fatigued muscles and connective tissues are more vulnerable to strains and tears. This lack of recovery doesn't just manifest as physical soreness, it also shows up as deep systemic fatigue. You may feel tired all the time, not just during your workouts but throughout your entire day. This persistent exhaustion occurs because your body is diverting any available energy toward its most critical survival functions, leaving very little for things like muscle repair or replenishing your energy systems. Your sleep quality may also suffer, as hormonal imbalances caused by undereating can disrupt your natural sleep cycles. Since the majority of muscle repair and growth hormone release happens during deep sleep, poor sleep further compounds the recovery problem, creating a vicious cycle of fatigue and inadequate healing. Ultimately, training on an empty recovery tank is completely counterproductive. You are unable to train with the necessary intensity to stimulate growth, and you are unable to recover from the training you do manage to complete. This leads to burnout, frustration, and a state of overtraining, where your performance continually declines despite your efforts. You hit a wall where progress is not just stalled, but actively reversing. Your body is sending you clear signals that it cannot sustain this level of activity without adequate fuel. Ignoring these signals and trying to push through will only lead to further muscle loss, potential injury, and a complete halt to your fitness journey. The loss of muscle and the decline in performance caused by undereating create a devastating ripple effect that sabotages your fitness goals from every angle. The most significant long-term consequence is the direct impact on your metabolism. As previously mentioned, lean muscle tissue is metabolically active, meaning it burns calories even while you're at rest. For every pound of muscle you lose due to catabolism, your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, decreases. This means your body's daily calorie requirement gets lower and lower. This is the exact opposite of what you want when your goal is to create a body that can efficiently burn fat and maintain a healthy weight. This metabolic slowdown makes future fat loss significantly more challenging. Let's say you started your diet burning 2,000 calories a day at rest. After months of undereating and losing a substantial amount of muscle, your BMR might drop to just 1,500 calories. Now, to create a calorie deficit, you have to eat even less than before. This is the metabolic trap that so many chronic dieters find themselves in. They have damaged their metabolic engine to the point where they have to maintain a poverty-level calorie intake just to avoid gaining weight, making a sustainable lifestyle feel completely out of reach. It is a hole that gets progressively deeper and harder to climb out of. The aesthetic consequence of this process is the creation of a weaker, less resilient physique. The goal of most fitness programs is not just to lose weight but to improve body composition, to have less fat and more lean-toned muscle. Undereating achieves the opposite. It disproportionately targets muscle loss, while your body desperately clings to its fat stores, particularly under the influence of the stress hormone cortisol. You may end up weighing less, but your body fat percentage could be higher than when you started. You lose the very tissue that gives your body its shape, strength, and firm appearance, leaving you with a softer, less defined look. This entire cascade of negative effects, muscle loss, performance decline, poor recovery, and a slower metabolism, demonstrates how undereating is not a shortcut to a better body, but a surefire path to a weaker one. It undermines the very foundation of what it means to be fit, strong, capable, and energetic. The cost of rapid, restriction-fueled weight loss is paid with your muscle, your strength, and your metabolic health. True and lasting transformation requires a different approach, one that focuses on fueling your body to build and preserve muscle, not starving it into submission. Deep within your body, your thyroid gland acts as the master regulator of your metabolism, producing hormones that dictate how quickly you burn calories. Think of it as the control panel for your body's entire energy economy. When you are properly fueled, your thyroid produces adequate amounts of its key hormones, particularly T4 or thyroxine, and its more active form, T3, which is triiodothyronine. These hormones travel throughout your body, telling every cell how much energy to use, but when you chronically undereat, your body perceives a state of famine and deliberately downregulates thyroid function as a primary survival strategy. It's a desperate measure to conserve energy when resources are scarce. The process begins when your brain senses the prolonged energy deficit. It reduces the signal sent to the thyroid gland, telling it to slow down production. Furthermore, the conversion of the less active T4 hormone into the highly potent T3 hormone is significantly impaired. And honestly, this is a crucial point, because T3 is the hormone that truly revs up your metabolic engine. With lower levels of active T3 circulating in your system, your metabolic rate really plummets. This is a far more profound slowdown than just a simple adjustment to a lower body weight. It is a systemic, hormonally driven suppression of your entire metabolism. Your body is intentionally hitting the brakes to prevent you from burning through your remaining energy stores too quickly. The consequences of this thyroid takedown are felt throughout your entire body. You begin to experience classic symptoms of hypothyroidism or an underactive thyroid. You may feel perpetually cold, especially in your hands and feet, as your body reduces its heat production to save energy. Lethargy and brain fog become your new normal as your cells are not getting the signal to produce the energy needed for optimal function. Many people also experience constipation as their digestive system slows down and even notice their hair becoming brittle or falling out. These are not just inconvenient side effects. They are clear signs that your body's internal engine is sputtering out. This deliberate suppression of your thyroid function is one of the most significant reasons why fat loss grinds to a halt during periods of severe calorie restriction. You are fighting against a powerful biological adaptation that is designed to make you more energy efficient. No amount of willpower or extra cardio can override this hormonal command to slow everything down. The only way to restore your thyroid function and reignite your metabolic fire is to provide your body with the energy it needs. Continuing to undereat will only dig you deeper into a metabolic hole, making it harder to lose fat and compromising your overall health in the process. While your metabolism-boosting hormones are being suppressed, another hormone is being pumped out in dangerously high quantities, cortisol. Often called the stress hormone, cortisol is released by your adrenal glands in response to any kind of threat, and your body interprets chronic undereating as a major, persistent stressor. In the short term, cortisol is beneficial. It can help mobilize energy and increase focus. However, when it remains chronically elevated due to a prolonged calorie deficit, it begins to wreak havoc on your body, directly sabotaging your fitness goals. It creates a physiological environment that is primed for fat storage, not fat loss. One of cortisol's primary roles during stress is to ensure your brain has a constant supply of glucose. When you're not eating enough, it achieves this by promoting the breakdown of your muscle tissue into amino acids, which are then converted into glucose. This catabolic effect means you are actively losing your metabolically active muscle mass. At the same time, high cortisol levels have been strongly linked to an increase in visceral fat storage, particularly around the abdomen. This is the cruel irony of undereating. You are starving yourself in an attempt to lose fat, but your own stress hormones are working overtime to break down your muscle and store more fat in the most dangerous places. Elevated cortisol also directly interferes with the function of other crucial hormones. It can further suppress thyroid hormone production, worsening the metabolic slowdown we just discussed. It can also disrupt the delicate balance of your sex hormones, which we will explore next. Furthermore, high cortisol levels can lead to insulin resistance, a condition where your body's cells become less responsive to the hormone insulin. This makes it much harder for your body to handle carbohydrates effectively, leading to blood sugar fluctuations and an even greater likelihood of storing energy as fat, rather than using it to fuel your muscles. This constant state of high alert, driven by elevated cortisol, also affects your mental state. You may feel more anxious, irritable, and on edge. Your ability to handle everyday stressors diminishes, as your stress response system is already working overtime. This hormonal chaos creates a vicious cycle. Undereating causes stress and high cortisol, which in turn leads to poor results, muscle loss, and fat gain, causing even more stress and anxiety. It's a downward spiral that not only ruins your physique but also damages your mental and emotional well-being, making a healthy lifestyle feel like an impossible battle. The hormonal chaos caused by undereating extends deep into your endocrine system, dealing a significant blow to your primary sex hormones, testosterone in men, and estrogen in women. These hormones are not just for reproduction, they are absolutely vital for maintaining muscle mass, bone density, energy levels, and overall vitality. Your body views reproduction as a non-essential, energy-intensive process that is simply not a priority during a famine. To conserve resources, it dramatically reduces the production of these key hormones, and the consequences for both your health and your fitness goals are severe and far-reaching. For men, a steep drop in testosterone is devastating. Testosterone is the primary anabolic hormone, meaning it is the key driver of muscle protein synthesis. When testosterone levels plummet due to chronic calorie restriction, it becomes nearly impossible to build new muscle, and incredibly difficult to even hold on to the muscle you already have. This accelerates the catabolic state promoted by high cortisol, leading to even faster muscle loss and strength decline. Low testosterone also results in crushing fatigue, a complete loss of libido, poor mood, and a general lack of drive and motivation, impacting every aspect of a man's life. For women, the consequences are just as dire. The body reduces the production of estrogen and progesterone, which can lead to irregular menstrual cycles or the complete loss of a period, a condition known as hypothalamic amenorrhea. This is a major red flag that the body is under extreme stress and does not have the energy required for ovulation. Low estrogen levels have a profound impact on bone health, significantly increasing the risk of osteopenia and osteoporosis over time. Much like men with low testosterone, women will also experience a loss of libido, mood swings, fatigue, and difficulty with muscle recovery and growth, as estrogen plays an important role in these processes as well. This sex hormone shutdown is one of the clearest and most dangerous signs that you have pushed your body too far. It is a direct signal from your brain that it perceives the environment as unsafe and is powering down non-essential long-term functions to focus on immediate survival. Continuing to undereat in this state is not a display of discipline. It is a direct assault on your long-term health, fertility, and well-being. Restoring hormonal balance requires a commitment to fueling your body properly, proving to it that the famine is over and it is safe to invest in these vital functions once again. The disruption of your thyroid, stress, and sex hormones sets off a cascade of negative consequences, a domino effect that impacts your sleep, mood, and daily energy levels. These are not separate issues, but are all deeply interconnected, stemming from the same root cause: a severe lack of fuel. When your hormones are in disarray, your ability to get restorative sleep is one of the first things to suffer. High evening cortisol levels can leave you feeling wired and anxious, making it difficult to fall asleep. At the same time, the hormonal imbalances can prevent you from entering the deep stages of sleep where physical repair and memory consolidation occur. This lack of quality sleep creates a vicious cycle. Poor sleep further increases cortisol levels the next day, exacerbates insulin resistance, and disrupts the appetite-regulating hormones leptin and ghrelin, making you feel even hungrier and more prone to cravings for high-calorie junk food. You wake up feeling exhausted before the day has even begun, creating a state of perpetual fatigue that no amount of coffee can fix. This deep systemic exhaustion is not the same as being tired after a hard workout. It's a bone-deep weariness that comes from your body simply not having the energy to function properly. Your mood is another major casualty of this internal chaos. The hormonal fluctuations combined with nutrient deficiencies and chronic fatigue are a perfect recipe for anxiety, irritability, and even depression. Neurotransmitters in your brain like serotonin and dopamine, which are responsible for feelings of happiness and well-being, require adequate nutrients and energy to be produced. When you're undereating, your mood can become unstable and negative. The constant hunger, frustration with your lack of progress, and physical exhaustion all contribute to a bleak mental state, making it incredibly difficult to stay positive and motivated on your fitness journey. Ultimately, this domino effect leads to a complete physical and mental collapse. You are left with a slowed metabolism, elevated stress hormones, depleted sex hormones, terrible sleep, a volatile mood, and non-existent energy levels. This is the true cost of chronic undereating. Your body is not just a simple calculator of calories in versus calories out. It is a complex, interconnected system of hormones and biological signals. By ignoring its fundamental need for energy, you don't just stall your fat loss, you create a state of internal chaos that undermines your health from every possible angle. Beyond the internal hormonal chaos and the stalled progress on the scale, your body will start sending you very clear physical warning signs that it is not getting enough fuel. One of the most common and noticeable signals is a persistent feeling of being cold, especially in your extremities. You might find yourself reaching for a sweater on a mild day, or constantly complaining that your hands and feet feel like ice blocks, even when others are comfortable. This isn't just a random inconvenience, it's a direct consequence of your metabolism slowing down. As your body down-regulates its thyroid function to conserve energy, it produces less heat, causing your core body temperature to drop slightly. This pervasive chill is your body's way of telling you that it has turned down its internal furnace to survive the perceived famine. Another glaring red flag is a noticeable change in the health of your hair, skin, and nails. These tissues are not essential for immediate survival, so when energy and nutrients are scarce, your body diverts resources away from them. You might notice your hair becoming more brittle, losing its shine, and shedding more than usual in the shower or on your brush. Your nails may become weak, breaking or peeling easily. Your skin might lose its healthy glow, appearing dull and dry. These aesthetic issues are external manifestations of an internal deficiency. Your body lacks the necessary protein, vitamins, and minerals to maintain these rapidly growing cells, providing a visible and tangible sign that you are not nourishing yourself adequately from the inside out. Constant, unrelenting fatigue is perhaps the most debilitating physical symptom of undereating. This isn't the normal tiredness you feel after a long day or a tough workout. It's a profound, bone-deep exhaustion that follows you from the moment you wake up. You may feel like you're moving through your day in a dense fog, struggling to concentrate and finding even simple tasks to be monumental efforts. This systemic lethargy occurs because every cell in your body is running on an energy deficit. Without enough calories to produce an adequate supply of ATP, your body's primary energy currency, all of your biological processes slow down. This crushing fatigue is a powerful, unavoidable signal that you are running on an empty tank. Finally, disruptions to your digestive system are a common complaint among those who chronically undereat. While you might expect an empty stomach to be the main issue, many people experience uncomfortable symptoms like bloating, gas, and constipation. When you don't eat enough, the motility of your digestive tract can slow down significantly as another energy-saving measure. Food moves more slowly through your system, which can lead to discomfort and irregularity. It's a paradoxical situation where eating very little can actually make you feel more bloated and backed up. These digestive woes are yet another physical cry for help, indicating that your body's internal machinery does not have the fuel it needs to operate smoothly. While some warning signs are physically obvious, others are more subtle, acting as silent internal alarms that signal deep-seated trouble. A complete loss of your libido or sex drive is one of the most significant of these alarms. In the grand scheme of survival, reproduction is a biological luxury. When your body believes it is starving, it will shut down all non-essential systems to conserve energy, and the reproductive system is one of the first to be deprioritized. This manifests as a nosedive in your desire for intimacy. For men, this is tied to plunging testosterone levels, and for women, it relates to suppressed estrogen and progesterone. A vanishing libido is a clear indicator that your body is under extreme physiological stress and has shifted its focus entirely to short-term survival. For women, the most critical internal alarm is the disruption or complete loss of the menstrual cycle, a condition known as hypothalamic amenorrhea. When the brain senses a severe energy deficit from undereating and overexercising, it sends a signal to the hypothalamus to stop producing the hormones that trigger ovulation and menstruation. Losing your period is not a convenient side effect of being lean. It is a serious medical sign that your hormonal health is in jeopardy. It indicates that your body does not have enough energy to support the possibility of a pregnancy, and it carries long-term risks, including a significant decrease in bone density that can lead to osteoporosis. This is a non-negotiable red flag that your intake is dangerously low for your body's needs. Poor sleep quality is another silent alarm that is often overlooked or blamed on other life stressors. You might find yourself struggling to fall asleep despite feeling exhausted, or you may wake up frequently throughout the night. This is often due to hormonal dysregulation, particularly elevated evening cortisol levels and blood sugar instability. Your body's stress response system is on high alert, preventing you from entering the deep restorative stages of sleep. You wake up feeling unrefreshed, which perpetuates a cycle of fatigue and further hormonal disruption. If you're carefully controlling your diet but your sleep is falling apart, it's a strong sign that your body is not getting the nourishment it needs to feel safe and relaxed enough for proper rest. Finally, an increased susceptibility to illness is a warning sign that your immune system is compromised. The immune system is incredibly energy demanding. When you are chronically undereating, your body doesn't have the resources to maintain a robust defense against pathogens. You might find yourself catching every cold that goes around the office, feeling constantly run down, or taking much longer than usual to recover from minor illnesses. Your body is too busy rationing its limited energy for critical survival functions to mount an effective immune response. This weakened immunity is a clear internal signal that your body's defenses are down because it lacks the fundamental building blocks provided by adequate nutrition. The warning signs of undereating aren't just limited to your physical body, they actually have a pretty big impact on your mental state and your performance in basically every area of your life. One of the most telling psychological red flags is this constant obsessive preoccupation with food. You might catch yourself thinking about your next meal hours in advance, scrolling through food pics on social media, or just spending way too much time planning and measuring out these super restrictive portions. This isn't a sign of discipline, it's actually your body's biological response to deprivation. Your brain, sensing that energy deficit, just gets hyper-focused on finding food. This food obsession can be so distracting that it's tough to concentrate on work, hobbies, or even your relationships because your mind is basically hijacked by this primal need for fuel. And honestly, this mental battle often leads to these overwhelming urges to binge eat, followed by some really intense feelings of guilt. After days or weeks of really strict restriction, your willpower, just worn down by relentless hunger signals, finally gives out. This usually results in an out-of-control eating episode where you might eat thousands of calories in a short time, often choosing the very foods you've been forbidding yourself from having. The temporary relief is quickly replaced by crushing guilt and shame, which just reinforces the idea that you need to be even more restrictive to make up for the binge. And that's how you end up in this destructive psychological cycle of restriction and binging, which is basically the definition of an unhealthy relationship with food. In the gym, the red flags are impossible to ignore. If you notice a consistent decline in your strength and performance, that's a pretty clear sign you're underfueled. Like we talked about earlier, your workouts start to feel way harder, and the weights you used to lift just feel impossibly heavy. You're no longer able to achieve progressive overload. Instead, you're experiencing what I like to call progressive underload. You lose your pump, your endurance tanks, and your motivation to even show up at the gym just plummets, because the experience goes from empowering to downright defeating. If you're getting consistently weaker in your training sessions, even though you're showing up and putting in the effort, your nutrition is almost certainly the culprit. Your body just doesn't have the fuel to perform or the resources to recover. And finally, your overall mood and emotional stability take a pretty big hit. The combination of hormonal imbalances, nutrient deficiencies, and chronic fatigue creates a perfect storm for mood swings, irritability, and anxiety. Little, everyday stressors that you used to handle without a problem can now send you into a spiral of frustration or even despair. You might feel apathetic, detached, or even start noticing symptoms of depression. Your brain needs calories and certain nutrients to produce the neurotransmitters that regulate your mood. When it's deprived of these essentials, your emotional resilience just crumbles. So, if you feel like your personality is changing for the worse on your fitness journey, that's a massive red flag that your approach is actually hurting you more than it's helping. The first step to healing from undereating is admitting there's a problem, letting go of the less is more mindset. Recognize that fatigue, stalled progress, and hormonal issues are not failures, but signs your approach needs to change. Shift your focus from restriction to nourishment. Food is fuel, not the enemy. Adopting an athlete's mindset, seeing food as performance fuel, transforms every meal into an opportunity for growth. End the internal battle and choose a path that supports your health, strength, and long-term goals. After embracing a new mindset, the next step is reverse dieting, slowly increasing calories to revive your metabolism. Start by adding 5,100 calories per week, monitoring your body's response. This gradual process repairs your metabolism, allowing you to eat more without rapid fat gain. Over time, you'll maintain your weight on higher calories, feeling stronger and more energized. Reverse dieting puts you back in control, setting a sustainable foundation for future progress. As you increase calories, prioritize protein to rebuild muscle and support recovery. Protein keeps you fuller, boosts metabolism, and helps prevent fat gain during this transition. Fuel your workouts with carbs beforehand, and replenish with protein and carbs after to maximize performance and recovery. Strategic nutrition around training accelerates muscle growth and strength gains. By aligning your diet with your workouts, you create real, sustainable progress. Plan diet breaks. Periods of eating at maintenance help restore hormones and prevent burnout. These breaks make fat loss more sustainable and improve long-term adherence. Embrace flexibility. Aim for mostly whole foods, but allow room for treats to avoid guilt and restriction. Redefine success by tracking strength, energy, and well-being, not just the scale. A flexible, balanced approach leads to lasting results and a healthier relationship with food. We've debunked the myth that eating less is always better, revealing how undereating sabotages your body in progress. Chronic restriction leads to muscle loss, hormonal chaos, and a slower metabolism. Recognizing these warning signs is the first step to healing. By fueling your body, prioritizing protein, and working with your metabolism, you shift from restriction to empowerment. This journey transforms not just your physique, but your relationship with food and yourself, building true, lasting strength. As we conclude, the ultimate takeaway is a message of hope and empowerment. The frustration and exhaustion you may have felt are not your fault. You have not failed, you have simply been following a flawed map. The real path to a lean, strong, and healthy body is not paved with starvation, but with strategy, intelligence, and self-respect. It requires you to abandon the outdated and harmful belief that your body is something to be conquered and subdued. Instead, you must see it as an incredible ally that, when given the proper fuel and care, will respond with vitality, strength, and resilience. Your body wants to be healthy. Your role is to provide it with the resources it needs to thrive. Embrace this new paradigm where food is not the enemy, but the very tool that will build the physique you desire. Calories are the energy that powers your lifts. Protein is the brick and mortar that repairs your muscles, and carbohydrates are the high-performance fuel that allows you to train with intensity. By learning to nourish your body adequately, you are not giving up on your goals. You are finally creating the physiological conditions necessary to achieve them. This approach liberates you from the exhausting cycle of restriction and binging, allowing you to build a healthy, sustainable lifestyle that you can genuinely enjoy for years to come, not just for a few miserable weeks. Let this be an invitation to redefine what success means on your fitness journey. Move beyond the narrow focus on the number on the scale and start measuring your progress in ways that truly matter. Celebrate the victories of getting stronger in your workouts, of having consistent energy throughout your day, of sleeping soundly through the night, and of feeling mentally clear and positive. These are the true hallmarks of a body that is well-fueled and functioning optimally. This is the progress that builds on itself, creating a positive feedback loop of empowerment and achievement that will carry you much further than any crash diet ever could. Your body is capable of amazing things, but it cannot run on empty. Fuel it with intention, train it with purpose, and allow it to rest with compassion. By doing so, you are not just chasing a short-term aesthetic goal, you are investing in your long-term health, vitality, and happiness. You are building a body that is not only lean and strong on the outside, but also hormonally balanced, metabolically robust, and resilient on the inside. This is the ultimate fitness goal, and it is entirely within your reach once you make the pivotal decision to stop sabotaging your efforts and start fueling your future.